This is Retro Rocket Man back again with another video. This time around I'm going to attempt to modify this Millenium Falcon from the Solo movie. It's very clean and unscathed. So I'm going to take it apart, give it a paint job, put it back together and make it look more like the one from A New Hope, but not exactly the same. It has this ugly looking nose cone that makes it look front heavy. It's supposed to be an escape shuttle, but I'm going to get rid of this and make it look more like the Falcon from A New Hope. My intention is to make it maybe be a transitional look between what it looked like in Solo as opposed to what it looks like in A New Hope. So I'm going to start by taking it apart. There's quite a few screws. Luckily there are screws and it's not glued, so it makes it a whole lot easier to take it apart. And it's got some inner workings as well. The firing mechanism for the shuttle is the main bit, so I'm going to be removing that play feature because I won't be wanting that. Won't be necessary. And that's just held together by some screws as well. And some greeblies and things from around the perimeter, the edges, and the cockpit nose. Other bits and pieces, they'll come off, so it's going to make it easier for painting as well. And along with the light engines feature. These are little computer chips that are also part of the playability of this toy, which I won't be needing those either. And I'm going to cut off the antenna array and reposition that to make it look a little bit more proud from the ship. So now I'm just taking off the inner workings of the firing mechanism and removing the gun. Now, one of the big differences is there are no holes in the mandibles section of the ship, so I'm just drilling those through, and these areas show the inner workings of the ship. So I've got to make moulds and cast some details to fill these in as well. But in the meantime, I've got to drill 4 holes, top and bottom. Now, carefully cutting some more panels out as they appear in the ship. Obviously, Han Solo has made some modifications over the years for whatever reason, or he's had to replace panels and cut panels out. After all, it's a piece of junk.
What a piece of junk!
I've made a lot of special modifications myself.
my process is to take some moulds with plasticine of various mechanical features and use a product called Sealer Gap. It's an acrylic sealer to make the copies, and I've just chosen anything random that has some sort of proud mechanical detail that I can copy, because I need these to fill in the holes that I've made in the Millenium Falcon. It will all become apparent a bit later on. A few days later, you need to give this stuff plenty of time to cure. It's dried enough to be pliable and rubbery. And you can see there's some nice mechanical detail that I'll just trim and fit into place like so. This is all completely random, but it gives me the look that I'm after. You can see what I mean there. Simply going to fix it on with some more of the acrylic sealer. It will help me stick the details to the ship. This stuff's pretty good because it's all water soluble, pretty easy to wash up with just plain water. So just positioning these bits to basically just get me the look that I want. These exposed mechanical details that were not apparent in the original toy. I'm using some soldering wire just for some extra detail, just to add some extra piping and tubing to the outside of the Millenium Falcon, just to give it a bit more detail and interest. Stuff's pretty easy, it's nice and pliable, soft, easy to bend, and just have to position it in place like so. Now, it's not going to look exactly like the Millenium Falcon from A New Hope. As I said earlier, I'm after a look that might be a transitional stage between what it looked like in Solo as opposed to what it now looks like in A New Hope, where it's a bit more banged up and obviously very different look to it. So my focus is just to get it to look like it might be somewhere at some time between those two periods in time. I'm painting the light thrusters, or whatever you call them, from the back of the ship, just to give them a bit of a highlight, make them a bit more interesting. And I've put it back together, and I've given it a flat white spray, some flat acrylic all over, and put it back together and repositioned the antenna array, and as you can see there, it looks really nice. But it's too clean, so I've got to dirty it down now, give it a bit of weathering, and make it look a bit banged up and used. So I'm using the liquid black shoe polish just to dirty it down and get into those panel lines, and then I'm wiping it off while it's still wet. And you can see the dramatic change in colour there. This stuff works a treat though, for broad areas especially. I let it dry a little bit. Now I'm going back in with a wet scouring sponge just to remove more of that excess black shoe polish that I don't want, because I want a lot more of these details to pop. So I need to clean it back to whatever intensity you like, but basically I'm just doing it till I'm happy with the look of it. This did take a fair bit of work. It seemed to stick a lot better to this white paint than previous jobs I've done, but I eventually got it to what I wanted. And now I'm going to paint some of the panel details in with the different colours. You'd be surprised how many different colours are in the Millenium Falcon. It's not just an overall plain white spacecraft. It's got some interesting little quirky bits, colour changes, different panels. And this is all completely random to a degree. So I'm just trying to borrow some of the details from how the ship looked from A New Hope, but I'm not totally going there because there still are some design details that are different. This is not a precise model by any means, but it certainly looks a lot like the Millenium Falcon. And this is a grey that I'm using. I think it's called Steel. And it's just yet another colour where I'm just adding some different coloured panels in there just to dress it up. It's like over the years Han Solo has just swapped out panels from other models that were different colours, you know, spare parts from a junkyard, that sort of thing. Not a lot of reference material to the bottom of the ship, so I'm just putting my own touches where I feel it's aesthetically pleasing. And naturally, because these are the ship is a bit weathered and beat up, you've got to scratch your paint. So I'm just scraping back the top layer of the paint just to give it some more wear and tear and weathering. Just now for a little bit of rust and grime, I'm using a burnt umber acrylic, thinned down a fair bit, and also for the exhaust ports I just need to do a bit more staining with this same colour. I'm going to use it for the exhaust ports and also on other little parts of the ship where I just want to dirty it down a little bit. So I'm just being very careful not to put too much colour in there because I don't want to overdo it. I'm just lightly running the brush over the surface. You can see the different details and colours that I've put in on the top and the bottom, and it's come up quite nice, I think. A lot better than what it originally looked like. So there you have it, fellow humans. This is my take on the Millenium Falcon, somewhere between the Solo look and A New Hope look. It's a bit more banged up and it's starting to look a little bit more like how it looked in A New Hope, although he hasn't yet replaced the guns for the quad cannons yet, and he's still got some of his rear panels intact, but this is what I thought it might look like at some stage in that time period. So this is Retro Rocket Man. Hope you like the humans. Over and out.